tabletop stuff instead. Orphical. What words am I even using now?
Who knows?
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I don't use English, apparently.
No, you don't.
I mean, that's
Just make a series of vocalizations.
I think that's just normal for me.
In fact, I'm kind of surprised this isn't I'm kind of surprised you're not some eldritch monster, because you just make weird sounds and we understand what you're trying to convey.
I just try to infer and assume what you've said, honestly.
Grumble, grumble, angry old man, grumble, grumble.
That's what you're like when you're playing Rainbow Six Siege. It's angry.
I like Rainbow Six Siege. It gets me so much less angry than a lot of other games, but not nearly as much as other people too.
Dude,
I guess it's. I've put up with a lot of. I've put up a lot of bullshit in existence. That's why I think I tolerate bullshit for the.
I have shed most of my toxicity, except when I play Overwatch occasionally. It brings me right back to pure, unfiltered anger.
But hey, if you're joining us today, I guess I should probably give some more introduction before we chat a little bit more and get into the topics. It's 420.
It is. Yeah. It's the funny haul.
Oh,
it's the
it
funny day.
So, I went out to the store as usual this afternoon because I picked up some stuff to make for dinner, and I wasn't really going to participate in it because I didn't find goddamn care because it was a Pokemon Go Community Day for Bellsprout. Bellsprout's been out forever. I already have it shiny. I didn't care. But they released Bellsprout, who's Pokemon number 69, on 420.
True.
And gave it the special move for the Community Day of Magical Leaf.
Didn't they, update Pokemon Go and, mess up the avatars?
Hell yeah.
Real badly?
The only thing I've really noticed is that, my character can't wear a hat anymore.
Oh, nice. You play a character with head ears in Final Fantasy problem of, sorry,
Look,
no hats
I just gave them
you.
a new hair because they had a new hair option. I'm like, fine, whatever. I didn't really care that much. I've changed my avatars look twice. I don't play the game for that. Sorry.
It's amazing that Pokemon Go is still alive.
It fills my addictive needs very, very well.
You could be filling your addictive needs with other problem games, but you're maybe being healthy and walking while playing Pokemon Go. I don't know.
A little bit of walking.
I feel my addictive. I was going to say I feel my addictive needs with Flight Rising, the dragon. Game.
I feel my addictive needs by playing Paradox games, which all have random chats that make me angry.
Like Genshin or Star Rail.
Yeah, Genshin. Yeah, I've never played Genshin or Star Rail because I have a life.
Look, it's the various things.
Also, I don't play video games very often.
Look, it's making me less likely to buy Magic cards, which is also an expensive hobby.
Magic is just like a physical gacha game.
That's what collectible card games are.
Just physical. They're just cardboard, but they have actual value because you can resell them.
Just side tangent. There was an interesting discussion that I saw earlier today on the Tulare College's site. He released a video that just gets into some things about the system right now for Thunder Junction. Just some of the things that they've chosen to do along with it just seem like terrible ideas that are great. Great for the game.
I've seen nothing positive about Thunder Junction.
I think the set seems like an interesting idea, but in the past sets, they've kind of released a side tangent as a small topic that I didn't really want to get into at all.
Hey, we found a way to talk about Magic on this show. What a surprise.
They released basically either list cards or I can't remember the term that's called for it, but specialized cards that were reprints that are have fancy looks with sets that 1 in 4 or 5 normal packs will have one of these cards in place of the land, and they're reprints and they're fancy and they could be from a set of things that are the theme, that kind of stuff. Because they're not doing those aftermath boosters anymore. Apparently they made one of those aftermath boosters into that stuff for Thunder Junction. So now there's like 30 cards that doesn't matter if they're good or bad. You can only get them in one of 5 packs.
Nice, dude. That's really cool.
And you get one of them then. So these things have been, like, even, like, terrible cards are, like, selling for, like, $3. Because they're artificially made super scarce. And, like, the most expensive things are selling for, like, 20 or something. It is just a little... It's a terrible idea. And also, they're technically standard legal, so now people might want to buy them and spend that $20 a piece for them and, fuck up standard.
I know exactly 3 things about Thunder Junction. Snorse, there are snake horses. Jace and the Snake Lady, their relationship actually gets commented on and they adopt a furry child.
They do adopt a furry child.
And all the planeswalkers magically got better from, like, the horrible Phyrexian plague that they had. Then they just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean... There's
Snake Horse is kind of cool.
The Snake Horse is...
Snake Horse is very fun, and I like it.
Because they had like something like a Snake Horse and like Amonkhet set.
The Snores.
The Snores. They're very funny and like... Look, I'm not gonna lie. They're weird snake combination things that Magic's had over the years is really fun. But I think it's one of those things. I've looked at some of the cards. I think if we take the cards on the most, they're interesting. They've got some interesting mechanics. The storyline.
I feel like there's no good Magic storylines anymore. I feel like they've exhausted the goodness they can do.
I mean, the idea
they're too afraid to. They were too afraid to change the universe for all, and they're like, alright, we're going to change everything about the universe. And you're like, well, I don't like that. And like, too bad.
I feel like certain changes and stuff were fine, and certain things they could have done. They could have gotten rid of characters. They certainly had characters die off plenty of times before and stuff like that in other storylines, but usually in their own smaller things, not these larger things. I just think that, like, the Phyrexian storyline was too rushed, and, they should have spent more time with the implications of it, and then we could have had this more, return to old-timey Magic status quo, which would have been fine, and I don't know where they're going with it. I don't know. There's weird shit with it. I'm just confused. Like, it's whatever.
I mean,
terrible
choices. I think it'd be hard to hire people who are, like, able to really, prioritize and go over and look at the writing when you're constantly being told to lay people off, so...
This is true.
So...
It really is.
I mean, that's not the main part of the game, therefore those are not the people who are going to
Speaking of Wizard of the Coast people getting kicked to the curb...
Well, I know. We can get to that in a second here. I did want to at least have us say how our week was or something, because we have had an entire week and I've had it mostly off. How have things gone with you two? Worm, how about you? How's your week?
I'm tired. My coworker was gone, so I basically had double the work all week.
Hell yeah.
And how's...
Yeah, I was just about to say. Thankfully, I normally have no work, so it's nice to have some work, but it's still a lot of work.
Well, how about you, Momo?
My week was surprisingly okay, except today I'm just in a lot of pain, which happens to me sometimes.
I have
I get that constantly.
I personally enjoyed my workcation. I can only say that about 25% of the extra time I spent on doing stuff was actually related to the Twitch and YouTube channels, but it was a bunch of stuff that I was really months and months behind on that I've been catching up on.
I don't know what I can say. I finished the Fall TV show and have been thinking about it all week. That's kind of been how I've been. The show was great. I highly recommend it.
I considered watching it, but I'm also that's going to be the thing that's going to eat up time.
It is 8 episodes, so it is 8 hours of content.
I'm going to have to squeeze it in some.
It's very good.
What's it on, Amazon?
It is on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
It's pretty good, in my opinion. The first 4 episodes are a little slow because it has to do a lot of world building for people who've never experienced Fallout before. That's all I'll say.
That happens like that.
Because they made it with the freshness in mind of, we're going to have people who have no idea what this game franchise is.
Yeah,
we got to introduce the concepts.
Well, Now we can finally get to that transition of talking about something else with Wizards, because yes, we have this a bunch of dockets today, and the big news we've got is the step down of the current CEO, or president, I should say.
Here's the president, not the CEO.
Of Wizards, because the CEO is of Hasbro.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know until these articles that the CEO of Hasbro was the president of Wizards beforehand.
Yes.
And was replaced by Cynthia Rhodes.
A very baffling move, because it kind of ruined the status quo of everything.
So I'll leave the Twitter one from Saffron Olive that you gave us. Has a very good.
It has the actual document.
Has the actual document, and then I will give.
Don't do the Market Watch one because that's a article.
I've got the comicbook.com and Dicebreakers articles. I will link to this. They provide a lot of the same information, but enough difference that I thought I'll use both of them here. But effectively, she's been here for about 2 years, I think. She took over in 2022 from Chris Cox when he took over as CEO of Hasbro, which I don't know if I can say that was a positive or negative move.
It's like, I mean, Hasbro's been relatively the same.
I think it's the fact that Hasbro hasn't been in the best situation.
No, Hasbro has been in a terrible situation for the last couple of years.
So it really doesn't matter that, Chris Cox is there. But he has had his Blueprint 2.0 strategy, which has been heavily implemented with the help of Cynthia. Yeah. She's basically going to be out on the 26th, so 6 days from now. And then the thing is, they haven't said they're looking both internally and externally for candidates for replacement, which I don't know what kind of person.
Could go either way.
Like, honestly, I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of Cynthia just because of her previous jobs. I felt like did not bring a good view.
She was a Microsoft executive, I believe.
General manager and vice president of gaming ecosystem commercial
Xbox
team
gaming.
at Xbox Gaming. She also worked for Amazon as part of their e-commerce direct customer business.
Yeah, which is a little rough to have someone like that in charge of something so beloved.
Yeah.
Like, certainly speaking, people you want in charge should have some kind of business sense, and I'm not saying that because it is a business. But, usually speaking, they should have at least a familiarity or understanding of the field they're going into, and I feel like maybe she learned enough about video games, but video games are different from tabletop.
Yeah.
I can't say personally she didn't know a lot about tabletop. We don't know a lot about that kind of personal side. She could have been a fan of some things, but she didn't really show a lot of that off in her years there. I feel like over the last couple of years, even more so, and this could be from her, this could have been from Hasbro, a lot of decisions around Magic and these brand have been kind of controversial or terrible. So, honestly speaking, it goes up the ladder, technically, and so I would say she and Chris Cox on the Hasbro side are to blame for a lot of these things. Regardless, they're the top of the ladder.
It is.
Especially since if you think about it, it happened while she was still fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
The OGL stuff was...
OGL stuff was, 2022, so...
It is
like late 2022, early 2023, right?
It is very interesting that under her leadership, she did oversee some of the best and some of the worst of the company releases. Yeah. And in controversies. I'm not willing to assign blame to her specifically, because again, she was in for such a short amount of time.
I agree, and I feel like Cox had a lot of say in what happened.
I feel like it is more on Cox and other executives, because she was in there for such a short amount of time.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I wonder if she's stepping. Like, part of me is like, why is she stepping down? Because I actually don't see that anywhere.
I don't know if it's been publicly stated yet.
I didn't think it so. Like, I was assuming it wasn't. So, but yeah, because it's like part of me is like wondering if she's stepping down because of all the bad decisions. She might be like, I want to get out, whether it's like I want to get out because I don't feel like my job is secure, or you know, maybe even like I want to leave in protest. Who knows? You know.
So might be getting out to get out. To be fair,
and I'm taking a look here. It looks like we had,
or maybe she just got a
Greg
better job
Leeds for 8 years, and then Chris Cox took over. So he had been there for a while. So like he had 6 years in Wizards. So I can't like. Before he became CEO of Hasbro. Because you replaced the one who died.
Yeah, the Hasbro CEO passed away.
Okay. So I can't say I feel like
it's a strange situation.
Yeah.
Because I can't assign with CEOs in certain companies. You can assign a lot of blame to them. I can't really blame her.
Like, that's the thing, is like her name was never attached to anything.
Yeah. I feel like it could be possible she's being like a little bit scapegoated, but I also don't think that's the case.
I don't think so either. I feel like that would have been publicized differently.
Yeah, it would have been like way more publicized.
Yeah. And even like, the thing is, I think like, yes, I would put the blame a lot with Chris, but I also think it's like, it's only because he's the CEO of Hasbro and has a lot of say in all these things. I feel like there's a lot of decisions under him that are like being made, and there's a board that he goes to, so the board can make a lot of major decisions.
That's usually how it goes, is a big board of directors being kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So,
but I will say, under Cynthia, we did get Baldur's Gate release. We got a bunch of actually pretty good Magic sets. We got a bunch of
Baldur's Gate
release,
started before,
but it was under her the release and marketing for it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
So sort of like it began with Chris, and she finished it up. So
and then we had actually a pretty good amount of Magic the Gathering sets that came out that were good. And again, I think she obviously doesn't have direct control over it, but this is what the company has done. And then a bunch of not very good D&D books, and then the OGL stuff.
Yeah,
it's a mixed bag.
It's a mixed bag, as it often is.
I don't particularly feel she's the most awful CEO out there. So like,
she's no Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, so I gotta be honest, I will say, I hope that she does at least have a moniker of success wherever she goes, and she finds that her job is... She fulfills her job to the best bet that she's an actual, like, decent CEO. And I think that's what I always ask of these
personally feel nothing, because I know for a fact she's probably getting one hell of a package when she leaves of money, as it usually goes.
It's another reason I'm kind of like...
So it's like, alright, enjoy your money. Bye.
I mean, it's like, I'm sure there's been a lot of money exchange.
Enjoy your incomprehensible amount of money that you're going to get paid for this.
That's another reason I'm just kind of like, I don't know
how it goes.
This, It just... So that's
I imagine we're not going to get a lot of public details about this one, because it's not very high profile.
Yeah, I think that might be as much as we're going to get.
Will Wizards be better? Probably not. I'm going to be real.
Might just be status quo.
Probably going to stay about the same as it's been for the last couple of years.
I mean, I feel that's the thing, is I feel like Wizards has always been powered by like kind of those like middle managers who like care for the games they're interested in and like help keep things straight.
I will say Wizards, big mess ups the last couple of years may have also ignited another renaissance in role-playing games, so
Yeah.
And honestly speaking, some of Magic stuff might do a little bit for CCGs. I mean, like...
Please make another CCG that's popular, I beg of you.
I gotta be honest, we at least have seen a couple other big CCGs. Was it Flesh and Blood?
I think that was it.
Lorcana are both finding pretty good places, and the trifecta of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Magic were pretty hard to break into for the last couple of years. Like, you can see what happened with the Munchkin one. So, a lot of these terrible decisions with Magic might honestly begin... It might not be the same degree, because these are big markets that are harder to break into, and there's multiple people in it. But we might see a couple more contenders that will break the hold. I both hate and love that, because, like, I do love Magic as a game, but maybe that'll at least reinvent that one.
Marvel-
There is competition.
Marvel's not going to buy Infinity Wars because Marvel already has one, a comic called that, and two, they already have their own card game.
Mm.
I think they have several card games, actually.
Anyway, we should move on. We got some more topics to hit, and here's another very interesting big one that Paizo has announced the next big storyline that they're actually going to be doing that's related to a lot of things.
Stories.
One of their gods is going to get killed.
Damn, that kind of fucked up the world last time that happened.
Yes, and they're saying it's gonna fuck up the world.
Kind of like broke a lot of things.
The Gorum, the god of war, will die, and one of the books is actually going to deal with the fact that any world that worshipped him will literally be stained with his blood, shattered armor, and divine essence, which will rain down on the worlds connected to it.
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah! That's why there's also going to be an interesting adventure path they're planning out, which is actually going to be for the Hold of Belkazin, the Orc homeland, and about, like, fighting for that homeland and independence and building, like, a new civilization for the Orcs, who have been, like, kind of... Again, Pathfinder Orcs are very savage and mean, but they are that for a reason. I just dived into this in a video about it. Basically, imagine a group of, like, Neanderthals given middle-aged technology, and then basically getting into aggressive war with another species. They basically got into a war with dwarves, and over the course of only a few generations, got a lot of technology. Orcs are very animalistic in the way they act and, like, do stuff a lot. They go by a lot of instinct, you know. So this might be an opportunity for them to, like, sort of get beyond those instincts which have driven them a lot, you know, for thousands of years, you know, and they have been showing that in the World of Elves and evolving into country. So I find that a very interesting storyline. I'm glad to see they're doing that kind of help do that. But yeah, they're also saying that there will be like a new deity that's kind of going to be Arzani. I hope I'm saying that like will kind of take on a little bit of the mantle of war. And they're going to do a bunch of novels and books and adventures that are going to kind of deal with this entire after War of the Immortals, as they're called. So,
I feel like this is like kind of the first big thing to hit Pathfinder 2.
I think it's interesting too because they're keeping these big events, which they're not saying that players will necessarily be involved in, but they are painting it in a different light than they've done. It used to be that, like, it was just, oh, this adventure path deals with that, and then everybody else has to deal with it afterwards. Now they're kind of, like, spreading out this entire story and the aftermath and stuff of that over multiple places, and it feels like it makes these big, universe-shattering events more important than it was in first edition.
So I'm reading the little synopsis they have, like, down here. The list for iconics who are going to be witnessing his death, and they will be receiving their own God Spark. So, like, that, I'm assuming they're going to be the 4 canon characters for the adventure path.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, hey, random PCs, here's some God Sparks. Have fun.
Well, they are saying they're bringing Mythic back.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know if I want that.
That's the thing
makes sense.
I don't know if I want to experience another Mythic game.
I'm curious how they're going to do it in second
I
edition.
hope better, because Mythic kind of is a lot in first edition.
Mythic was an interesting idea, but I feel like it's a hard thing to balance out, and like, I enjoyed the Mythic campaign I was in, but the Mythic campaign I was in was a homebrew one, and it had a lot of problems with it, and that could have just been the adventure and the storytelling style of my friend who was running it, because he has his style sometimes can lead to some problems. But it could have been exacerbated by the existence of Mythic, because that's a balancing issue too. So I'm not sure, and I know I've heard a lot of mixed bag about Wrath of Righteous, and honestly,
Wrath of Righteous is like fine. It's just too long.
Yeah, and playing through the video game, like, it was an interesting idea and stuff, but I think the video game is...
Video game is fine, except it's not fun. in my opinion.
I can't argue. There's a lot of problems with it. So, yeah.
So I guess they're just going to be like, hey, PCs, you can become ascended in this adventure path, which means you become deities.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the paths of mythic characters.
I think you could become like a celestial or something.
No, like, actually, I'm pretty sure, according to Pathfinder rules, like, Mythic is gaining the spark of divinity.
Well, I think that when you become Mythic 10, there is sometimes the option for characters to become a god. You do not need to. You can remain like a demigod.
I don't think it guarantees you ascend to godhood,
you can become
but it
a
gives
godling.
you the spark to where you can, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a couple ways to become a mythic character.
Yeah.
One of them is you're just like the child of a god.
Others, like you're exposed to mass amounts of like
there's
celestial, fiendish
bestowed
power
upon you, like in Wrath of the Righteous.
Yeah. I guess this one is
actually
you witness a god's death and you get a spark of it. You know?
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Actually, I found something that I don't know why, I was just Google searching and someone kind of said how you can get mythic ranks, and you visit like a fount of mythic power of some kind. You defeat a mythic creature. You pass over mythical traits. I'm guessing like that's
children.
Yeah. And then GM discretion is the last one.
Also, like technically speaking, in the world of Pathfinder, literally anyone can become a deity if they touch the special stone.
Yeah, but it's like in a
But
temple.
only like 4 people have ever done it in all of Pathfinder's history. One of them was Aridin, who was the first god that died.
Caden Kelly, and he got drunk and just did it.
He did get drunk. Iomade also is one of them, and so is Secrets Man that we met in Skull and Check.
Wait, what stone?
There's a star stone that you can touch and you become god, but you have to pass like a really difficult trial. Most people die during it.
Yeah, Aridin basically found the Starstone and used it to achieve godhood as the god of men before he died, and he was like, "Man, this thing should be put somewhere where, like,
I forget how Norgerberger and Iomade got it, but I know that Caden Callion just got really drunk and then woke up having done it.
I think Iomade just like took the test because she had support of Aridin as one of his heralds originally, because she did serve him, and Norgerber basically, I think, just used his power of like, I can find out stuff. Even when he was immortal, be like, that's how you do it.
Caden got drunk. Got really drunk one day and did it.
Yeah.
And then I think was probably mad about it, because I assume he didn't want that.
Yeah,
Assume that was not his intention.
No, he has problems.
Oh. Yeah. The Starstone is what caused Earthfall. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the big meteorite or something.
It's the largest fragment of the meteorite that remains, because it was technically a world-ending meteorite. And I understand why it works as a divine thing. One of the more powerful gods at the time basically put himself between the massive world-ending meteorite and the planet, and managed to shatter it into a semi-apocalyptic event rather than a literal end of the world event. You know, that's why we had like an Age of Darkness and the major empires at the time died, because of also it was technically a Gulthu, aka the Aboleths.
Yeah, they were like kind of a little bit mad and jealous, and then they tried to blow the planet up and then failed. Yeah. And I think they were like horrifically punished to be dumb creatures for the rest of their existence.
They're still around in dicks.
We killed one in an adventure on stream. And by we, I mean I soloed it because everyone had to fight Cell.
But, yeah, so Pathfinder's crazy. But yes, the big stone killed a god, so maybe his essence is why the Starstone has god powers.
Maybe it'll get explained, or maybe it won't.
But anyway, witnessing a god die, probably that's also the reason.
I feel like that leaves some trauma.
Yeah. Anyway, it'll have some interesting effects, and I'm curious as to what it will do for the storyline. You know, anyway. But,
which empire blows up this time? Spins wheel?
Yeah. Thankfully, they haven't been doing so many, like, this should destroy the world events. They've been doing more local. Here's something that's kind of bad, but not horrible.
It's like half of all Pathfinder 1 is world-ending events that happen within, like, months or years of each other.
Again, that's why I feel like having these world-ending effects be, like, major storylines they go over the course of years feels a lot better.
Yeah, it feels a little bit nicer than, oh boy, here's World-Ending Crisis number 6.
We can still have an adventure path based around it, but there's other places that we're talking about it rather than just that adventure path, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
So one that you brought me,
other adventure paths.
Momo, one that you showed off to us is
Did
the
send a
Monsters
thing.
of Dakkenhiem.
Yeah, it's funded, obviously.
Yes. 5 days to go. So,
It's from Dungeon Dudes, who are pretty popular. It's also in conjunction with one of my favorite publishers, Ghostfire Gaming, who do, of course, the Grim Hollow stuff. It's a bestiary of monsters, which God knows 5e needs more of.
Because like, I forget. I saw something that like talked about this, and they're like, you know, for how long 5e has been out, their bestiary, like their official bestiary, is super small compared to all their other
tiny.
editions.
Yeah.
Like they've released like no monsters as far, because like every other thing they release like a monster book like once a year or once every other year, and this one's like once every like 4 years. You know, it's been out for like 12. You know. Also,
it has a little stamp on it that says it has no AI work in it, which I think is pretty neat.
Oh, we should have a. That's something we could do. We could get like a council. You know, like people like analyze things to like, or you know, like in food industries where it's like, oh, this is a thing. You know, like, oh, this is officially a gluten-free product or something. We should have that for AI. That'd be smart. That's a good way to regulate it.
It would be.
Honestly, I don't see the government doing that, and I don't know if the self-industry would work because, AKA,
industry.
Just look at the movie industry.
The industry is not going to self-regulate itself, unfortunately.
Or the video game industry and their self-regulation. That's great, too.
We've investigated ourselves and found we've done nothing wrong.
This will apparently be up on D&D Beyond, Roll20, and VTD Foundry.
Yeah.
Have some options for it. I think the digital stuff goes for 30.
30 is like pretty standard for PDF.
Yeah. With a bunch of other things.
Book is 60, which is pretty standard for a hardcover book.
150 creatures, lore entries, monster tables. They've got some layer information and harvesting rules if you want to use monster pieces to make items, which is a classic trope which we don't see as much anymore. In fact, we've seen that in Magic Item Creation.
Yeah, we don't really see that in 5e too often.
Yeah.
Wait, so this thing has magic item creation? Is that what you said?
It has harvesting of monster bits to make stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. So
part of me wants to wait till this comes out to buy it, but
I can vouch for Dungeon Dudes because they did release a whole
I've
setting
heard of
that was
before.
pretty good. But I'm probably, just because I'm a little strapped for cash, going to wait till it's out.
Yeah. I don't do enough 5e at this point in time to invest.
I only run 5e because I don't like running Pathfinder.
I usually run 5e for
I run 5e and I run 2d20 and that's it.
Yeah, I'll wait till it comes out. I've been spending too much on random shit that we talk about on this show, and I really should stop.
I understand that sometimes. I've been there. Spending on random shit happens. But so if you're interested in it, want some more monsters that are a little more algic hardy and stuff like that, and things like layers, epic bosses, loots. You might have a good selection of stuff to add to your 5e or just
everyone
5e.
needs.
Yeah, no.
Every setting can do with more fucked up monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of 5e stuff out there.
Yeah, and good crafting rules are cool. I think I've seen some good crafting rules before too that I haven't. So, you know.
I mean, one of the most popular D&D third-party books right now is just a book about fishing.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's a good book too.
So, do you want to go back to the year 1994?
No, not really.
Well, you can in this RPG, which is set in a apocalyptic world of 1994.
I don't want to go back. I wasn't born yet.
Maggot Machine. So it's 128 tome. It is using a V6 system, a rules-light system, and it's set in a world where these weird mutations basically took over and people live underground now, and players take the role of people that go to the surface to, like, get stuff from the surface.
Oh.
Yeah.
This has a thing I've heard of. Like, this is a kind of concept I've heard of before. And no, not Fallout, even though that's close.
Metro does a little bit of this too.
Metro,
Fallout.
oh, you don't really go to the surface for stuff in Metro. They specifically never go to the surface in Metro.
Yeah, I mean, like, but it's the idea that, like, you know, you're journeying from an underground to gather stuff that might be there, and there's, like, the group you're part of that goes on those, the people that control the underground society, and you want to be successful enough, you become those people rather than be abused by those people, kind of horrible things. So, you know, it's a terrible world that you're dealing with horrible monstrosities on a surface world.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's kind of cool. It's got that very apocalypse technology kind of vibe to it, which I enjoy.
And there's, like, horrible, like, weird infestation of mutants and stuff like that.
I actually do love that style
probably.
of horror, the mutant body horror. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like that stuff so much.
It is a type of horror that does have to do people that enjoy it. It is funded. They didn't really ask for a lot, and it's got 16 days to go, so...
Nice. Josh, that was very Darkest Dungeon.
$13 US for the PDF, and all appropriate stretch goals. So, it looks like a physical book is only 31 with the stretch goals. It's only going to be a 128 book, though, so... Anyway. Well, that was a pretty cool one to talk about. We don't talk a lot about Mork Borg, but I got 3 things I've combined with one topic for Mork Borg here. 2 Kickstarters, and a event that they're running. So we'll start with the 2 Kickstarters. So I think I talked about Mork Borg years ago. I haven't talked about it in, like, forever. But to get you, it is a kind of post-apocalyptic fantasy kind of game, as best to describe it, just as a simplicity. And it has a very interesting kind of dark art style and stuff like that.
It's not dark. It's got robots, though, so that's cool.
Yeah. These are basically 2 robot-y versions of it. Just like they do for D&D with Mork Borg, they actually put out a bunch of material for different types of things. You know, you've got, like, a pirate one, and, like, these 2 books here are for, like, post-apocalyptic robotic ones. The first one is, like, you're a mech knight, for robot-on-robot combat. That's the Mech Borg. And then the Steel Palm is a mini antagonistic skirmish game.
Ooh, fancy.
For controlling units of mech knights. Defend off unspeakable horrors from the edge of the universe.
Nice.
So kind of combining the 2 of them together. The other one, which is not loading up very well for me, because, God, this one here, I got an email about it, so I wanted to talk about it because it was connected to this here too, but, let me try to bring up the email because this is not loading.
I was taken to a notify me on launch page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
which
is what.
I don't. Yeah. It's probably not open yet.
Free League Publishing has a thing on their site, but their news has been down, so I haven't been able to link to that.
Found a Dicebreaker article.
Okay. It's Black Powder, Brimstone. It's Witchcraft. It's compatible with Mork Borg. It's supposed to be kind of like, I guess, Renaissance kind of witchcraft and, you know, fantasy and darkness too.
Yeah. Church of Sacred
So
Blood.
Wait, so is Mork Borg's like future and this is like fantasy? What?
No, that was Mech Borg.
Mork Borg is originally set kind of in a post-apocalyptic future.
This
Yeah.
is
But
Mech Borg.
Mork Borg
But
is-
as Mork Borg, as a general system, they've done a lot more settings for it. They kind of played it, like, you know how, like, D&D 5e, it became like, oh, I can do this cyber fantasy, or I can just do this fantasy, or I can do this one, etc., using 5e as a base. They do that a lot with Mork Borg, and this one is like a more Renaissance-styled dark fantasy.
Got it.
Done by Free League. You know, they do a lot of good things too. So, and Mork Borg is a very rules-light, you know, system. So. I'm sure their website will eventually work. If you want to
maybe, but there's a Dicebreaker article that talks about it.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'll grab it.
I post. Yeah, there you go. You can put it in the YouTube thingy.
I will put it in the description. So, yeah. The last thing I did want to mention was for Pirate Borg, which is again a spin-off of Mork, their pirate one. They are doing a game jam.
Oh, nice.
So, it's going to take place in May. I read up on the rules of it and the submission. They're going to do a book with a bunch of the submissions that'll have a price to it. They're going to do it to try to not earn. The PDF of the book will be made available for free. They're not aiming to make any kind of profit on the book. The people that submitted it will still own it. If you put it up on itch.io, you have to put a free or pay what you want during the jam, but afterwards you can pay for it. You own the rights to it, but basically you're licensing them to put it out, kind of thing like that. You can resell it on other platforms later on, but they'll be distributing it after you submit it to their contest in a book form, basically. Pay $30 for it.
Man, they're offering some shirts for this, and some of these shirts kind of go hard. So I'm a fan of these shirts.
Because it's cabin fever, and the cabin fever fire coming out of the skeletal pirate's eyes. Yeah. They really have a style to this entire thing. Yeah. So.
My mom would hate it. My mom hates skeletons on things.
Big fan of the shirt that just says known conspirator.
In fact, my mom just hates horror in general.
Mm-hmm. There will be prizes. They have a grand prize, and then best writing, best art, best layout design, best adventure, best PC class, best NPC/monster, best generator, best miscellaneous. There's some runners up, so there will be plenty of prizes. Yeah, that's it. Game jam.
Game jams are good.
It's related to it because it's Pirate Borg, so I just thought about throwing that out there. Okay. Japanime Games is releasing something which I looked into this a little bit. Interesting enough, it's based on a manga series that they're doing some information for tabletop and a card game for Queerz.
I think I've read this manga series.
Yeah, so they got a creator guide for anime. I don't know if it's supposed to be a particular tabletop game. It doesn't say under the descriptions. So it might just be a non-rules and just setting kind of stuff. It comes with something. It's something like akin to Best in 5e. Or, honestly, some of the role-playing stuff that Japanime has put out with their partners and stuff like that.
In the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
To see if
they have
releases.
Releases. If you can do the Kickstarter releases, because it looks like the basic box for the is the basic box.
It might just be its own rule set.
Because it looks like the basic box looks more like a card game, but it could also be a role-playing game.
It does have cards.
I can't tell with the basic box images either.
What's in the box?
Because I saw the things that are the role-playing stuff, but I wasn't sure with the basic box if it's more card game or role-playing game, and I was curious if they were two separate things or the same thing, and I could not tell.
I think so. It looks like just the base box. The cards are just character foils.
Okay, so it's parts of a specific type of role-playing
experience.
Yeah. And then they got the anthology and character creation guide as extra things. Interesting. Do you have that Kickstarter leaving?
Yeah, the Kickstarter's over, obviously, because...
Yeah.
But here's the link for it. It has more information on here than the Japanime Games site has.
The information sometimes these places provide are your website could actually tell you something. You're advertising this and telling people to be interested in it. So I think it is based on the rules of City of Mist RPG.
Yes, it is based on City of Mist.
And the manga series too. So, that's coming out soon. I kind of wanted to shout that out because, again, I've been a good boy this week and went through my emails and.
Man, I don't look at my emails.
look, I went to my business emails, so they like send me stuff and like, hey, you can talk about these things, and so I talk about them. If you hey, look, I'm following.
Do they pay you for it?
No, but it's like news
sponsored.
Hashtag sponsored. If they did, it would be wonderful. I'll take payment for like sponsored. I'll test your stuff out.
You should do that. You should do that every now and then. Be like, hey, how much are you willing to pay me to talk about it?
Yeah, just like ruin your credibility.
So Command Games has talked about this for a while, but they finally have it up on GameFound. I've seen them talking about this. Their God of War board game is now up on GameFound. It's a 2-player experience, 4-player with expansion, where you take on the role of Kratos and Atreus during their time in between the 2 games. Basically, this is your all those years going on random adventures that are probably a little less epic expanding, but could be still, like, we gotta go fight this monster here, or something like that there. So, it's a replayable journey card game for that kind of time period, so honestly, kind of makes sense. It's kind of interesting. The expansion, they will have that you can play it looks at least the Blacksmith Brothers for 3 to 4 players for the first one that they have along with it. Maybe so there'll be some optional characters later on.
Yeah.
But at least those 4 then will be the ones who want to play with more than 2 players. The base game is just a 2-player one. The extra more. They do have multiple war modes. I think I've mentioned this maybe before, but with it wasn't
now it was talked about for a while.
I mean, with it being officially up now, I wanted to at least mention it.
I'm a big fan of the 2 newest God of War games. I think they're very good.
Yeah. I have the 2018 one, but I was going to wait till Ragnarok comes out on Steam and just play both of them.
When did Ragnarok come out?
I don't think it's out on Steam yet.
So you can usually math it out because it's usually about 2 or 3 years before a Sony game comes to PC, if it's going to come to PC.
Yeah. It probably will because the first one did. I assume since the first one did, so maybe this year, maybe next year.
I mean, we still haven't gotten Final Fantasy 16 on PC yet, so
I think that came out after it.
That did come out after, and that is confirmed to be coming to PC. I think they're just waiting for the DLC, so Square Enix to be like, let's make it $70.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did with the remake of 7.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I did eventually get that, but I got it on a big set.
I didn't, because I have 0 interest in Final Fantasy 7.
I like Final Fantasy games, and I was a fan of 7. It's not on my really super top. It's kind of in the middle of my games, but
I think Final Fantasy 7 fans are insufferable, and that's why I will never play it.
I'm not gonna lie, again, like, as someone that believes it's in the middle of the games, I can see that, because I'm like, it's a good game, but a lot of their remembrance is because it was that first 3D game. I'm sorry, it suffers from more batshit insanity than 6 does. And 6 was a culmination of a lot of that stuff.
Play Final Fantasy 13, the best Final Fantasy game.
I'm not doing it.
My first Final Fantasy game.
I ain't doing that one.
Technically speaking.
So there's a quick shout out, another one up on GameFound, but because I really like this game, I do need to shout it out. Castles of Burgundy is getting their special edition, a reprint of it up there, which is including all of their expansions. Castle Burgundy, it's a kind of tile/resource management, because it's just dice though technically kind of ish game. It's hard to explain just by doing it. There is a single to 4-player experience. The first single player was added in expansions. This is basically all of their stuff they ever released in one big box. You're technically getting a whole bunch of the expansions and stuff in one big thing, so it is
nice.
expensive, but it is every expansion ever created in one box for $165 for a big old game with some nice little pieces and stuff. So
yeah, and it all fits in one box. Man, I wish I had friends in real life.
Imagine having friends in close proximity.
I have a friend
Right?
that I'll shout this out to that she might be interested in because she has castles for the game. She's the one that introduced me to it. And it looks so much nicer than her game is fine. It's one of the older, like probably the original copies of it. But again, I don't know which printing, but still, it is a fun game. I should play it on tabletop similar to people at some point in time. I do recommend. So, I don't drink really. I'm not against drinking. I have done it occasionally, but I'm not a big fan of it. I do, I'll drink a drink over the course of a night. But Critical Role wants you to be drunk. I technically know they introduced
They just want you to buy the alcohol.
They want you to buy their alcohol. They introduced, with the help of a company that's run by Matthew Lillard and Justin Ware, who've done fantasy-inspired drinks. They're Sand Kegs High, which is bourbon whiskey based on what they've talked about in the game as a drink that they've earned. So now you can get it in real life. Yeah.
I mean, that's neat. It's not for me because I don't drink alcohol.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It causes me horrible, horrible pain the next day.
I just despise... I taste alcohol. I'm sensitive to its taste, so I don't even taste it.
Oh, you can get used to it. Like, I drank for a little bit, and it's like, you just have to get, fancy drinks that don't taste like alcohol, or taste barely like alcohol.
That's why I don't go for those, because I don't want to get used to it.
Honestly, that's fair, because it's expensive. And
I also know my kind of personality. I have an addictive personality. I avoid things because of that a lot, too.
That's fair.
Yeah, so...
To be fair, everyone in my family's in, I have, 6 alcoholics in my family, so probably best I don't eat anyway.
I have friends who will drink, but not a lot. But I don't know if they would be necessarily interested in this. Joe enjoys a good drink. They can't as much anymore because of medical issues that have come up over the years, and delays and stuff too. But anyway. So yeah, if you're interested in it, there it is. Speaking
also,
of...
yeah, the company that's making it is Find Familiar's Spirits.
Yeah. Their big product was a fantasy-based, alcohol.
Yeah,
so I guess
no, I know. I just wanted to say their name because it was interesting. You just said someone who makes fantasy alcohol or whatever.
I think I touched on the 2 people that owned it. One of Matthew Lillard and then the other.
Yeah, you said who owned it, and you said, but I just wanted to say the name of it.
Yeah, that's
because it's kind of a fun name.
It's good to give the name. You're right. We talked about one video game board game. There's another one. We don't know much about it because fucking they won't tell us on their website or the announcement. I'm gonna put the Dicebreakers article because it talks about it more. But I'm also gonna give the website too. Rayman, the board game.
It's a thing, I guess.
It's a thing.
Okay.
It's been a dead IP for a while, but alright.
It has kind of been a slightly dead IP.
If you don't technically count the Rabbids games, the last one was I think 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 to 5 players is what we know about. It's a designer who knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah, even the last Rabbids game was 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mario plus Rabbids I think was 2 years.
Yep.
The second Mario plus Rabbids I think was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Fantastic game.
It's a cooperative game. You take the role of Rayman and his cast of friends, of which I recognize one of the names because I think I heard it when I saw someone playing one of these games.
I have never played a Rayman game, but I've played a Rabbids game.
I can remember watching someone for a little bit playing one with
same. I've seen
doing one of one of the ones that were the latest ones was kind of co-op. They were playing together with someone and hilarity ensues. But that's the point is their interactions, not the actual game to a degree. So I really wasn't.
Yeah. I did see someone do a playthrough of. In fact, I think it was Olirant. Do a playthrough of the Rabbids game.
Okay.
It's a great game.
The Rabbids and Mario game.
Both of them are fantastic Switch games.
So we don't know a lot about what the game is going to be. We know it's ages 7 to 77, 2 to 5 players. It's technically going to be a cooperative game. But after that, I don't know.
What makes a game unplayable to a 78-year-old?
I don't know, but the poor person can't play it.
What? Why 77? Most of these things do like 99 plus.
Well, yeah, like 9 to 99, or like 8 to.
Yes,
Whatever.
sorry, you turned 78. They gotta take your box.
It must
away.
be like a joke in the Rayman game or something. I'm assuming, but I don't know. All right. Evil Hat has a game for us, a book for us for tabletop. Stewpot, Tales from a Fantasy Tavern, which is made to be played either in conjunction as a kind of downtime or as a kind of epilogue for epic campaigns, where your heroes settle down and like own a tavern or something together and get into mischief or shenanigans and kind of stuff.
That's fun.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of like little games and like kind of mini stuff that you can use to add to your entire role-playing experience. It seems fun, lighthearted, and the idea that hey, we've settled down after saving the world in a tavern. I think that's a traditional one, isn't it? For a lot of those kind of games. But honestly speaking, I don't think I've had any characters personally, but I've had people that have had their characters do this sort of thing in a game.
Most of the characters I've played are typically of the longer-lived species, and are typically only like maybe 120 when they finish their adventure. So I feel like they're not settling down at age 120 when they have like several hundred years left of life.
Yeah.
Just basically, I just make free run every time.
I have a mixed bag, so certainly I can see like there have been characters that are
just like playing elves, okay?
I've played definitely a wide variety of characters. It's just a looking book. I thought to shout out. It's funded up on Backkick, but
Yeah, more supplementary material is good because we need it.
I agree.
Hey, remember last week when we talked about Dimension 20 coming to Madison Square Garden? There has been a response by them about the entire situation because their tickets ended up getting around $1,500. So, yeah. There's the Dicebreakers article talking about it, and there is the link in there to the Dimension 20 has a statement up on Twitter. When is that at? April 14th. Read this. So yeah, they had their last. Apparently, they had the last live show 5 years ago.
Makes sense.
They wanted to use Madison Square Garden because it's a much bigger scale. But they were kind of above their weight class. I think they feel like at that point in time, because they misjudged the situation. I guess the ticket pricing just went way outside of what their thing is.
Hardly their fault.
Apparently the average cost was at least $119, which is
fair.
Expensive, but for Madison Square Garden, I'm going to say that's not terrible.
Yeah.
But they are planning for some stuff to make it a little bit better in the future. So,
yeah. So basically, it's the way Ticketmaster and like other type of ticketing websites work is that they have this thing called surge pricing, where if things are buying quickly, they bump up the price. And they were like, yeah, we didn't even know this. We weren't told about this. We didn't know what was happening. We had no option to opt out of it.
Yeah.
I believe currently, at least Ticketmaster is being sued over this kind of stuff.
Makes sense, Ticketmaster.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that Ticketmaster is the one who gets the money, so.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yep.
Again, I talked about it last week. Ticketmaster's a monopoly on tickets for events like this.
They're currently being investigated and sued for it.
Yeah, so makes sense to see their result for it again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I wanted to shout it out. I will, link to their Twitters in there and go down to the 14th where you can see it. So.
Oh, okay. It seems to say that like the company that handles something is also under Ticketmaster. So yeah, this is a monopoly.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like I thought I saw another company, and they're like, oh, it's also under Ticketmaster.
Oh no, Ticketmaster owns a lot of smaller things.
They're like the only one.
They really are the only ticket people.
They suck.
So, one more Kickstarter. Actually, two more Kickstarters. Let's talk about one of them. Second edition of Laundry, the role-playing game, based on the Laundry Files by Charles Stross. So it's an entire thing about, like, characters becoming spies because they learn that, like, magic is real and they help a spy thing that deals with supernatural, alien, interdimensional threats. So,
It's a British novel series.
Yes. Again, it's like a supernatural spy role-playing game, which certainly we don't have a lot of those. It's basically a novel series, so hopefully it fills that up. This is the second edition again, also, so we've had 4, but it's up now, and I thought, sounds like a cool game. I don't know if I talked about the first one when it came out. I might not have, but hey, I'm shouting out the second edition now, if you're interested in kind of thing, and it is well funded on it. It's Kickstarter. So, let me shout that out. And then, hey, I have the Kickstarter and their article on Cryptozoic, because for 5e rules, I don't know, we're getting an Adventure Time RPG.
Oh, I was going to say something about this real fast. I felt
go
like I
ahead.
didn't get a chance. I was just going to say, yeah, based on my quick scanning of this, I feel like it's got a vibe somewhere between Lovecraft mythos and Men in Black.
Probably because
What it
British
looks like
a little
to
bit
me.
of James Bond, I'd assume, too, in there.
I don't
Yeah.
remember the novel series. I haven't read it in a long time.
Anyway, that's just what came to mind.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But anyway, Adventure Time. It's D&D. I mean,
Nice.
that's about all
It
I
is
can
a
say
5th
about it.
edition compatible game.
Honestly,
it's a-
I could totally see this working.
I like
Um,
Adventure Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's apparently
Oh,
a lot
sorry.
of interesting species. They've got 20 new species free to play. And then, of course, like, I think some character archetypes. But, I mean, all the basic classes just work anyway for that
Yep.
kind of weird, technically
Yeah.
weird super future where it went apocalyptic and then recovered. But, like, it's weird.
The show gets a little wacky.
It really goddamn does. Like, I don't know if I finished the later seasons of it ever, but, like, I think it was also, like, trying to watch stuff on, like, the 2010s and the late 2010s.
There are like
Cartoon
10
Network was
seasons
hard.
of it.
I'm trying to find when they, like, release episodes was really hard, too, during that time
Yeah.
period of anything.
It's a long show. There are like 300 episodes.
Yeah. I'd love to go through and watch it sometime, but, Cartoon Network doesn't really have a good way of watching things online.
No, they really don't.
But, it's a magical, weird world in the future, so interesting enough stuff to, check it out. And it certainly does, as we said, fit the 5e property very well for Next Motorcycle. It's a world of adventure. That's why it's called Adventure Time, and, fucking equals adventure here in this weird world. There you go. It's fun with 24 days to go. I think, did we have to say anything else about that? I don't know.
Honestly, this implies, based on a part of this description, it implies that Adventure Time actually has its roots in Dungeons and Dragons. Like it kind of grew from that, like, concept. Like, maybe it was like an inspiration for people who made
Wouldn't
it or
surprise
something.
me.
It wouldn't me
It
either.
wouldn't be that the creators, like, decided on creating a world based on, like, they had done some D&D adventures and stuff, and came up with, like, ideas for overall quests and stuff, basically.
Yeah.
But then added
Anyway.
the weird twists.
Yes,
I'd like to look into that. That's kind of an interesting idea.
The creator of the show does cite Dungeons and Dragons as one of his main inspirations.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, like, honestly, that's why I'm like, when it's like, oh, D&D for 5, or Adventure Time for 5e, I'm like, I can see that working. Apparently that's why.
The inspiration comes from that kind of thing, and, like,
Yep.
I feel like, yes, if you're watching the show, it probably doesn't hit as much, but, like, the world itself, I feel like from It's been a lot of years, but from my remembrance, I can see that being a very good like adventure-y fantasy.
It's about as wacky as your average D&D setting.
Honestly,
Yeah.
So Modiphius has a couple of things that I want to shout out. Two very simple ones, which we can kind of mention here. They have officially released the Achtung Cthulhu starter set.
Nice.
I think we've mentioned it a few times. It's good to have a starter set out. It's a great way to introduce like quick starts. Always good for like I basically learn the rules. Starter sets are really that first dive into it where you do it with a bunch of people where you're like, we really want to learn this system. And we're interested in it. So, $40.38 is how much it costs. I think for the looks like for the physical copy of it this year I'm on. I think that's not bad.
Yeah, do they have it digital? Because normally they have a free one that's like digital. Or no, I'm thinking of
quick starts. That's quick starts.
I'm thinking of quick starts, not starter sets. You're right. Sorry,
like your
brain twisted.
Dude, it might be on VTTs. You could buy it.
Yeah, probably get the quick start either for free or cheap on VTTs. If you want to,
no, I was just thinking of quick. I was just thinking of quick start, not starter set. I'm like, I'm surprised this costs so much money because I'm like, oh no, that's why my brain. Sorry,
and it's physical too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just as similar to that, the starter game for the Fallout role-playing game has their starter adventure for free up on.
It is currently free.
Roll20.
Because the show came out and everyone loves the show. That's all I can say.
I just claimed my package if I ever want to use it.
It's like, I looked at it, I think yesterday, it was like pretty good because, and if I ever run a Fallout 2D20 game, which I definitely will because I'm an absolute nerd for the Fallout franchise, I will be using the starter set, not its contents, but because it comes with preset loot rolling macros. So I can just press one button and roll your loot.
That's a fun one. So yeah, so we got some interesting things for starters from Modiphius, and I did want to shout this out because we talked about it, and it is something that's very interesting. They have given a date on what they're going to be doing for Star Trek 2nd Edition, Star Trek Adventures.
I'm so excited for that, because Star Trek 1st Edition kind of sucks.
They've removed challenge dice.
Oh,
man.
God.
You know, they've clarified rules because they've had a lot of years of doing other 2D20 systems. You know, refining stuff over the years. Refining the trait mechanics. They're going to provide a lot more. There are more character options in the first book here, more life path options. So, like, the life path options are pretty important because it's kind of like there are a lot more options for your character's background and coming in to, like, being on a starship, you know? Like, I think they're giving better options for being like, oh, I could be a Miles O'Brien who's an enlisted guy, rather than just being everybody being Starfleet, you know, and still being main character.
Like, I like the, I guess, 1st edition of Star Trek Adventures, but it's very basic.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's an earlier 2D20 system.
Yeah. It's very basic, and it doesn't have a lot of rules for going outside of you are main character of TV show. Also, it's Starfleet, so you don't really fight people.
Yeah, like the combat is also really horrible.
That is awful.
Yeah, they've updated advancement and reputation rules, which appeared in there are more ones in the Klingon Empire book, so they're using some of the ones that came up with there. New starship mechanics, we're revising the starship mechanics too, making talents even more interesting. Which I'm going to tell you, like, yeah, that's probably one of those things. The talents were always kind of, like, there, but they've always kind of a little
They
bland.
never came up.
I know it's because I've only played this in one-shots, but I feel like
Same.
Every time I've made a character, none of the options I have either picked or, like none of the options I picked have ever come up.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, that's what I just said.
I did play it in a short
never
campaign.
Comes up.
Unfunny one, Josh. He ran a short campaign for a while off-stream of Star Trek Adventures, and I will tell you that in that campaign, I think we're off. I can't, because I think he was testing he was going to do it on stream or something at some point in time. I don't know if he ever got to that. But I remember I did use my talents, but it was very far and few between. Where it was, I feel like if you want a talent to be something that, like, you're going to use maybe every other session or something like that, as a special ability that comes up a lot more, you know.
Yeah. want it to be your talent, not your...
That's the point Lightning makes. You don't really ever advance in the Star Trek game. You kind of just become more focused at something.
They've also tried to like rebalance them for different species because like they had certain talents that were like they mentioned. I can't remember what they were, but for like Betazoids and Klingons, that you'd always take those talents because those were like the one.
There wasn't a lot of variety in character creation.
Yeah. So having more options with the talents and maybe like a couple more like maybe like 3 species talents would be pretty good. Like 3 to choose from that are pretty balanced. That might be interesting. I'm curious as where they're going. It sounds like they got some good ideas.
I feel like they've learned a lot from the reception of Fallout 2D20.
Yeah, I feel like they've had some opportunities to do more 2D20 systems in the thing, and Fallout with its developments and stuff too has been probably a good learning lesson that they can kind of bring back on this. So we'll see more on it. Maybe we'll get like a preview at some point in time. I just wanted to kind of shout out people looking to. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
I do have a deeper discussion topic today I want to talk about for a little bit here, because I haven't done this in our game today, but for my other streaming stuff, I took like a workcation this week, which was some time off, and I'm planning on adding time off to my schedule, and it made me start thinking about when we have TTRPGs, there are times where you have to take breaks, time off, or hiatuses. I'm gonna try to define those differently. Like a small break might be like 1 or 2 weeks off because of like issues. Like time off might be like, I have something coming up in my life for a while. I can come back to the game, but it's gonna be a while. Like I think like Umber for the vampire game took like some time off for who's able to come back, because of work. Or then like hiatus, which is like, our game has to go on a break for like months or something like that because of life stuff. Because like that might be DM side or storyteller or GM side, and then can kind of come back to the game. And these are things that happen, but they can also, honestly speaking, be detrimental to a game in general.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I know, the Crown. I don't know, COVID-19 basically made a lot of like in-person games go on hiatus.
Yes. I think it's a thing that like we have to really kind of like look at each of these separately. A break is a simple thing and usually doesn't do a lot to damage a game. That would be like, oh hey, when I was doing Skulls and Shackles, Buccaneers and Shackles City, I usually took like a couple weeks off in between the adventures to prepare for the next one, the next adventure pack. I changed the way I'm working on things so I don't have to do that for Crimson Queen. Basically, like, I reevaluated the way I work on preparing for the game, and it's helped a lot that I don't have to worry about that, and I can just, oh, hey, I'm ready for, like, the next week, I know what I have to prepare for the next week very well. But certainly, like, if there was some kind of like, thing going on in my life, or there was, like, some kind of holiday or something, I could see us taking, like, a week, or maybe 2 off or something, for just things. Usually doesn't do a lot to interrupt the game.
Like Joe's game, we took Easter off, basically.
Yeah. We tried to like do it that way because it's an every other week game. It was unfortunate then 4 weeks in between before we played again, but we managed to make it work and get back into it. And that's a bit of a longer break because we do skip out every other week. But again, it wasn't bad. Time off can be difficult for character, except the personal side of it. That's I have to take a break, but I want to come back to this game because I like the game. That can be just so jarring, though, sometimes, because you don't know where the players go or where the story goes sometimes. And you're hoping it doesn't go far enough away that doesn't detract from you. I don't think I've ever had that where I've had to take time. Have either of you?
I have had it happen once. And it worked out... Sorry, you go first.
Oh, sorry, no, I literally interrupted you, so you go first.
It's worked out relatively fine when I had to step away from a game for like a month or 2 and come back. Fortunately for me, maybe unfortunately for the DM, was a game I wasn't the most invested in because I had a lot going on. But it did become a little awkward to get my character back in and like, oh, you guys are so weird and different now. What the fuck happened to you guys?
Yeah. And then you also have to think about where the story of your character went to.
Yeah.
I guess first, Worm, I've got to follow up on that. But Worm, you had something to say.
Oh, I was just gonna say that it's like I've never actually really like taken breaks. In fact, part of me is like afraid of starting something if I don't feel like I can commit to it for a long period of time. So I actually haven't really done that. Like right now I'd love to start a campaign, but I'm like I see a lot of interrupts coming up in my life, so I don't want to commit to that. Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just plan for hiatuses.
Break I took was because of a family death. I stepped away from a couple of things.
Yeah.
I think the only game I remained in was the streamed Skulls and Shackle game.
Yeah. So like I've canceled games because my life gets crazy, and maybe I should have put that one on hold. But then people are already kind of like someone already left because it was too long of a break already.
I've canceled games for less than life being crazy.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking of one game, and I think
I've gotten better at canceling games, but I still don't like.
Think of a game that should have been canceled. Children of Wrath.
Children of Wrath.
Oh god.
Was a game so weird in its ups and downs, and I definitely feel like I think when you help stabilize us a little bit, and I was pretty close, I think, when we lost 2 players at the back end of that school arc, which was a terrible arc I should never have done, which almost wrecked it, which was pretty close to being done the game. That was pretty close to canceling. Your character and reinvigorating the storyline was, I think, all that kept it going. And even then, it was I was pretty close a couple of times to actually doing that canceling. I think I even talked about it with you and Joe and stuff. I think
it was really cool when I joined that game, and then for most sessions I said 5 sentences and then never said anything else.
I would have loved for your character to say more.
Oh, I just physically couldn't. 2 people would never shut up.
That game had a lot of problems. But that's kind of that's getting into canceling a game, which is slightly different. It's a little different.
Yeah, so I've never really taken a hiatus or really been in a game where the GM went on hiatus.
I've come close to having to do it, but I usually just cancel the game if it gets to that point.
I think a version of the character, the single player taking time off, can be seen with what you did, Momo, with Ivona.
Yeah.
That's a version of it. Because that could have very easily been you needing to take a step away, Ivona taking a step away, and then coming back out.
That almost was me having to take a step away because my work life got a little crazy for a month.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing of figuring out what your character did, how they're reintegrating and kind of back into that kind of thing.
Oh, that's gonna be easy because these fucking 4 freaks I travel with have not changed whatsoever. They're still freaks. In fact, they may be a little more weird now.
Hey, about the same. Yeah, but then
I love it when it's a group of freaks. I feel like that's the best game.
Just a party of freaks. And Tavel's a normal person.
But Tavel, I know we joke about it, but it is the entire thing that Lynn has very difficult work schedule, and sometimes will doze off, or have to cut short at the back end of the session, sometimes, and then, what happens to Tavel? That's always the question, Tavel going quiet. Which, I don't complain about it. I don't have a place. I understand. When Lynn tries to bring it there at best.
Happens.
Yeah.
I've been very sleepy.
She's fun in the first hour, neutral in the second hour, and then usually asleep.
Usually dead.
Yeah.
Which happens during late games.
3 hours harder than last. You're at late game. But
not that late.
I think about a hiatus. I can talk to a story about a hiatus I did in a game. Like an actual very long hiatus. And the thing is, the hiatus killed me. And I'm going to tell you that. I might have told this story years ago, but I was running a Bessem game with my own unique storyline and setup, and it was an idea of a world where portals to other dimensions, which were basically kind of anime worlds, were opening up, but there were different kind of things. So it was and you're on Earth, but all these portals have opened up. People have kind of been thrown in there. So you can be whatever kind of character you want to be, kind of like this entire thing. And there's this like the world governments created this place where, like, with the power of like this powerful person, basically created a school for the younger generation born here with powers to learn their abilities. Like, but it was more like high school, college level kind of thing. Of like, hey, you got some powers. We want you to get them under control. This is an international place where you can kind of come together and do that. Okay, interesting storyline. We took a very long break, like maybe for 4 or 5 months. We tried to go back to it. 2 of the players got back into it pretty well. The other 2 players started playing their characters completely different than they were beforehand, because they only had the mechanics of their characters at that first point in time. And that entire thing created an example that was kind of disruptive. Yeah. Yeah, and like, you coming back as Nat was kind of hard too, because it's sort of like the team had developed differently. It was very hard to do that one. In that case, that was 2 characters played very differently. It really changed the tone of how the game was being played, and it really didn't work for the game anymore, too. And there had some issues beforehand. I'm not going to lie, the game was perfect. We had a couple of issues with some of the characters beforehand, and that kind of was like the nail in the coffin at that point. We played for like 2 sessions, and it was like, oh, it wasn't going to work anymore. It's unfortunate that Nat having that like massive time off and trying to come back for those story moments was very difficult, because it was hard to introduce and get Nat back in there more naturally, rather than just like a simple like NPC kind of character, because it's reintegrating it to the entire team. And that's the kind of thing that's very difficult, because, like, a guest spot's also different than, like, actually coming back for, like, being part of it again. Like, Umber coming back into the vampire game, it was at a good time, and we were able to integrate Umber pretty well. But fortunately, the characters hadn't gone far enough that I felt like things hadn't changed enough for Umber not to be able to slot back in. The way that Skulls and Shackles were in Buccaneers, basically, the characters changed a lot in the time that Nat left, Nat coming back, I think. There had been a lot of evolution of a bunch of characters, especially on the ends of things like Cool. Because, Cool had a pretty big, interesting arc, I feel like. And then, like, we had, like, some changes in some of the character roster and stuff, too. I felt like, Cell and Joe remained the same constantly.
Cell's character never developed. I'm just gonna say that.
Joe's a little bit, but Joe's has low character development. Small arcs.
Joe had the thing of his character came in sort of towards the end-ish, and was kind of already the fully developed character. It like didn't really have to do a whole lot.
Yeah.
Literally came in and was like at a party and was like, "Hey, you guys threw such a great party. You're all on the council now, including that guy who just joined you." I don't know anything about him, but he's in.
That wasn't that guy that was right there.
Including that guy. I feel like I had a little bit of that when I came in, because it's all like, oh hey new guy, we're gonna go do this thing, and I'm like, hey, oh yeah, like what was it, like we need cutlery or something like that.
There was a lot of
something
things
where it's all like we need some like we need to find some like I'm trying to remember what that was. Where it was like we have like these pieces of because like you need to find cups or something like that, but like I forget what I put it as, like
for vampire,
yeah. Anyway, I was just thinking about like coming in and being completely out of place in a certain segment.
Yeah, they were early on. They just threw you into it, and I think that's the thing. Like big story campaigns can have the difficulty of adding characters, certainly speaking, and that's an entirely different issue. But
shout out to when I joined Records of Evil and found out the people my character was waiting for were there for a long time working at a strip club and trying to figure out what a toaster did.
It's like, you guys are idiots, aren't you?
Oh yeah, no, I loved that, like literally, I don't think anyone in that group had like intelligence or charisma.
I had charisma, but I chose not to use it because I was disappointed in everyone.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was
I
great.
also like how most of you like skirted this weird line of like the stories of why you would be in this group to begin with, and I'm like, okay, you do give explanations why you're here. They're not great.
Bro, I
I'm
meant
just gonna have
to
to
be-
ignore
No.
that.
No.
Yours was the best, I will admit. It wasn't perfect, but yours was better than the other two's reason for being in the group.
Okay, good.
By
I'm happy
far.
about that.
Bro, I'm the
Yeah.
only actually morally evil character in that entire game.
You were
I
more
was-
neutral. You were more neutral evil, bro.
I'm the
I was-
only
oh, no,
lawful
you're
evil
right. No.
character.
I was neutral. I was. Yeah, I'd say neutral.
we had lawful neutral, neutral evil, and chaotic neutral as your alignments. And then we had to bring in a lawful evil person to actually put you in this lawful evil campaign, which I said it was at the beginning. Like, one alignment away.
I mean,
those weren't bad.
like
the
yeah.
neutral, lawful neutral, neutral evil, they weren't bad. They could definitely be involved there.
Yeah.
Jess's character, I had no idea why she was there.
No, like that's the thing is I came in not expecting to be the face. I came in expecting to follow orders, not to give them, and I ended up being like the leader.
Man, that game, we were able to introduce characters though pretty well, and I think that's maybe like another problem. I don't know if we talked about that, like introducing characters. I'm not gonna maybe go into it.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as Hiatus go, I just don't have a lot of like, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think if I've ever been in a game that stopped and started again. And I don't think I have.
The thing is, the best game I talked about, it wasn't a plan. So we just kind of had to end, and then we were like, oh hey, why don't we try getting back to that? But like an actual plan to like take some weeks off or months off or something like that, I also don't think I've been in that. I've heard tales of people talking about that, where they had to take like long breaks. And there certainly are people that play, you know, D&D over years and stuff like that, and can take these long breaks, but they're prepared for it too, you know, like they are like, we can get that session in, and normally like the person, you know, probably has, you know, this is the distinct story too, which is a style of play. I don't know if I've done a lot of that kind of style of play where I could take a break for a lot of months and feel like it was a good opportunity to, like, you know, it logically made sense a lot of it in the way it worked. I don't know if I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done
I
that.
mean, yeah, no. I just it's let's see. Actually, wait. I think I did take a break in Records of Evil for a short. Wasn't there like a 1 or 2 month break at one point?
There were some breaks in time schedule, but they were actually no, we did have some actual hiatuses, I think.
Yeah, I think there was like a 1 month like a basically just like we skipped.
It
like
ended up
two-
being that because like
Yeah.
we had like a couple of weeks off because we were just for other reasons, and
Yeah, like
then it became a break because I had to be like, oh, something came up and we had to
Yeah.
take more of an actual break. So they weren't
Yeah.
natural hiatuses; they were forced because of problems.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's still a hiatus though. Like
Well,
just not
Legacy's
being
had
able
a
to.
lot of time off.
Yeah, because I think and I think Legacies and that had the same one, and like I
Really?
think it was also around the time I was like starting a new job or something, so like I had to miss like a week or two, you know, and then like other people had to. So yeah, so I guess I've been in a few breaks, but again, they've all been like only like a few weeks, and it's never been like that big of a deal. So
Like, I can check how long those breaks were because I think like that's the thing is like that those games, because of the nature of them, those breaks don't like register in my head the same way as like
no, they were. I think they were only like a month, like 3 or 4 weeks.
access.
And a number of times it was just because like we literally couldn't get enough people consistently to run it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I definitely know part of it was when Jess disappeared. Jess, right?
Yeah, Jess had like some issues and kind of
With Yeah, she had like some issues and disappeared for off the face of the earth. I haven't actually heard from her again.
I've heard from her a few times since then,
but
not a lot.
Yeah, but I wasn't necessarily I literally only knew her from those 2 games. So I'm not like saying like, oh, I should hear it now. I'm just like I haven't I don't even know what happened. As far as I know, she's still gone, but no, I've heard other people talk about her, so she's fine. But
let's see here. I'm trying to like
I don't know, yeah, like
stuff.
I'm not entirely sure what this deeper discussion like is there like, you know, are they good? Are they I don't know.
Okay. Now talking about them, getting back to them.
Yeah.
I think the thing is you should not fear the need for them. Yes, they can be detrimental to a game. Certainly. Small breaks, that's not something we have to worry about. But it is part of the entire conversation. I think time off and hiatus. We can tell you the horror stories of these kind of things, but we can also tell you that horror stories stand out, but they also sometimes work. I think that's kind of like me mentioning, you know, because it was something that happened. The good example of it working was, you know, Umber. Umber took a time off from Legacies of Kain. His character basically, theoretically, had, you know, disappeared under New York City, you know, like a big explosion, you know, and he was gone, maybe dead, we don't know what happened. And then
he had a good ending as well to come back from.
Yeah, and so like then Umber was able to kind of pop back in after like months, and was actually I think at that point in time there was a pretty big break in between there that his character was able to. We kind of like had a little thing of what his character did, why he was gone for so long, and then we were able to really integrate him back in pretty well. I think, you know, and I think that it was a testament to all of your abilities to do that in that game. You all work together pretty well. I think, you know, I think as much as I can say there was a lot of problems Legacies of Kain, I feel like the character dynamic between all of you worked very well. Pretty well.
Yes.
You know?
And I think that's a thing. I think, you know, time off is definitely better if you have some time to lead up to it, because I'm assuming you had some time to, like, he knew it was coming, so you could end it properly. And
I did my best to make effective scheduling plans that worked. You know, I can say they kind of worked here and there.
Yeah, I'm saying for Umber, like, did you have time leading up to it to, like...
Well, I talked about him. Figured out a time for it. Yeah, so I was able to make some basic plans.
Yeah, so that definitely helps if you're going to have a player disappear. Definitely make a plan, reason for them to leave. Like, Cell was a little bit sudden, but, you know, it was also still understandable. Like, when he left for... I mean, I'm not saying... He said he might return, so who knows, but for...
Cell has work going, I think, for
I know.
Buccaneers, but, you know.
Well, you mean Crimson Queen.
Oh, from Crimson Queen. For Cell's character, I chose, like, something that could have been, like, the character can come back. Granted, coming back in the middle of the story will be difficult, but I left it open for Cell to be able to come back.
I mean, you have tied the character back in, saying, "Oh yeah, this character is going to go and, you know, help them."
I've hinted at, like, you know, stuff about the storyline, you know, and, you know.
So you're still keeping them tied in case.
Yes, it's not major times, but it's minor ones. But it still was something that I felt like was a good thing to do.
Yeah, but like if they show up with him, you know, he's like, "Oh, I brought her back," you know, or whatever. It will make sense, you know. So I think that's good. I think this definitely helps in those, is to have a good lead away. Something to discuss with the character that you can plan for ahead of time. If it's sudden, that will make it harder because you have to basically narrate how they leave, and then when they come back, you have to justify it.
I was looking at because I have dates and stuff, and I was looking at my old videos for Legacies of Kain. We took a 3-month hiatus from. It was our session was at the beginning of June. That's the session where Umber disappeared. His character, because that's when Umber had to leave. And it wasn't till the end of August when we started up again. And I think that was maybe when we got you, because that's when they went to Germany.
Okay, so I know I replaced someone.
You originally replaced Umber. Because we had then Dunk was still there for a while, I think.
No, Dunk was gone as well.
It was already gone. Oh, then that's why we were having problems, because we were just working off of 3 players. And we went down to 2. And I think that's when I eventually had to get you, which came back. And then we went back to 4 players. Eventually, Umber was able to come back. But yeah. But that was a 3-month hiatus. And I actually think that almost killed that game. Because it was so difficult to find someone that could do that time slot we were in and stuff like that. And, I think I moved the time slots around a little bit too and things like that to make it look easier.
Yeah, I think you moved it, and when you moved it, I was able to make that new time.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was a pretty big hiatus, and it still worked out, and I feel like we kept going. But yeah, a hiatus is a scary thing, because that was something that was that was forced upon us less because, we knew the hiatus was coming up or something. And I think that's different. So hiatus is coming, it's a lot easier. If a hiatus doesn't come surprisingly, that is more difficult. That is the thing you have to figure out. Stuff that's going on, and deal with it, and adapt.
Yeah, and I think there's also the point where it's like, especially if it's... I feel like the GM taking a hiatus is a lot harder. Because if it's a player taking a hiatus, kind of the worst thing that can happen is the player can't come back because you don't have a good way of bringing them back. Like you said with Nat in Skulls and Shackles, it's like, oh, they didn't really have a place, so it kind of hurt that character coming back.
The thing is, I see, that's the thing for me. I try to rely on the players to have that work, and that was a bad idea. That's why I think I've learned a lesson a little bit, how I've kind of established a little bit more for Cell having that place to come back is a better idea.
An NPC tie that you can control, yeah.
Yes, and that makes it a little easier than just... Because, honestly speaking, that's the other thing, is it was an interesting idea to have Nat come back, but Nat kind of retired and became an NPC almost, you could kind of say. Opening up a shop, starting a life, is a pretty big step. That's retirement from adventuring, which does make it a little more difficult too. It's a little different if you're oh, my character's going on an adventure, my adventuring can now mix up with those people again. Then oh, I retired, and I think that also doesn't help too. It's not necessarily oh, hey, something could call you back to adventure. That is possible, but it still is an extra level of difficulty too. As to why you took that time off that as a player that break. Where you left your character in, because yes, if your character you're not sure you're gonna come back, certainly making that you're gonna have that opportunity is good. But,
As far as GMs go, those are, I think, the ones that are a lot scarier because it requires all players to be on board with coming back, which can be hard because life happens. You get a new time slot for that spot, you're like, I'm not sure what's going on. Especially if the GM doesn't have I think that's probably something to say is if if the GM knows they're gonna have to take a break, it's definitely good to give a time period so people know when to, things are gonna happen again. But even that's not a guarantee. Because I feel like just, my life's busy right now, we'll get back to it later. People are going to be like, well, okay, I'm just going to plan for something else. Then maybe if we can figure it out when it happens again, but that's what people do.
Yeah, I can still see, just, God. The amount of weird missing stuff in, Legacies of Kain is just so crazy sometimes. There are big holes. I'm just saying, the entire adventure. Long game. Yeah, I think just you have to recognize you will have to say can't play a game this week sometimes, whether that's just 1 week or more. Be ready for it, and player needs to take some time off, but wants to come back or express a possibility of comeback, plan for that, GM. Start putting plans for that. That's something that I've tried to do better. We all should try to do better at that of oh, hey, I might want to come back. Do better. And for the big hiatuses, try to put a schedule together. Hey, let's aim for this time to try to come back. Because then people will not schedule things over it, as you were saying, Worm. If you give a date, yeah. Or give a date ahead enough, you know, like, you're like, hey, I gotta take a couple months off. I don't know how long exactly. But, like, 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, it's like, hey, can we all come back on this time? Give them time, you know, like, you know, or something like, give them enough updates that they know it will come back so they don't schedule something major during that time period that they have open.
Yeah.
You gotta be smart about these, and, you know, don't let them kill your game if they have it. Because it's up to you as both a person running it and you as the player, if you want to continue playing the game and have these breaks or time off or hiatuses, to have that game stay. Up to you. You're having fun and you want to continue. That works as a good message about it, kind of talking about these and, you know, making people less afraid of the threat of them being like a death knell to the game. They can if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Alright. Why don't we talk about what we did this past week then? Finish up today. Anybody do anything last Sunday?
Sunday, we had a game that Lightning runs. I'm trying to remember what we did, because it's been a hell of a week. So,
yes.
Bear with me while I think for a moment.
No, that's
You
fine.
tell yours first.
Okay, well, we had Joe's game last week. We were back in action. So, we resolved the entire issue with the underground and having people that are working in Sigil apparently digging mysteriously, but they also might be evil. And there's like a plot going on to assassinate the person who runs Sigil, which is also bad because they're like a demigod / lesser deity, and that might really fuck things up, but people still want to kill her because reasons, I don't know. Steal her power, maybe. So there's something funky going on, and...
Well, if I remember correctly, she imprisoned someone that they're trying to release.
I missed that, but again, like, you know...
That was the whole letter in the cylinder thing.
Oh, the letter in the... See, like, I didn't understand the full letter in the cylinder, so, like, I understood the bits about it that people are joining together in an evil group, but apparently that makes sense then.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, more portal shenanigans happen here, we're on call.
Yeah, apparently, portal shenanigans happened in our world, like, a while ago, but now portal shenanigans are happening in Sigil, which is a problem, because, you know...
Sigil spooks all portals 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, we're getting some of that major story. I'm going to be interested to see how it develops. That's what I'm going to say now, so far. How about your game, then?
We beat up some thugs and talked to a guild lady, and then learned stuff.
Ooh.
We're going to go hunt down that thug who escaped, because he's an asshole.
Good luck with your...
Kind of just, like, skin him alive or something.
Well, hopefully he deserves it.
He sucks. He tried to exploit me for information, so he deserves to die.
Monday, I know we had Rivers game. Did anybody else do anything on Monday, or was that just...
I was in Rivers game.
More school shenanigans than that.
We partied, and then we stole stuff.
We did steal stuff, and I didn't particularly note, and I'm playing one of the most difficult paladin subclasses you can ever do, because I'm a goddamn pacifist.
We stole an object that someone else stole first, which makes it good, question mark.
I was not morally against that, because they'd already stolen it, so, like,
heroes.
after that...
The other stuff we stole probably wasn't stolen, though.
I didn't pay attention to that, so, I mean, like, other things may have showed up. I'm like, where'd you get
weird
those?
stuff. We definitely did steal 2 very expensive bottles of wine from this bar.
Yeah,
I don't think you were there for that, though.
I wasn't there for that.
I think you were still watching the top of the stairs.
Yes, probably. But so it's an interesting adventure, and like I enjoy my character and the struggle of like I can't punch you. I don't believe in violence if I don't need to.
Weird pacifist halfling.
Paladin too. Violence is a last resort. It's a very interesting class to play, and I feel like this is one of the places you could actually try to get away with it. You know, the setting.
I guess everyone technically learned I'm like some kind of super good thief and liar to people, and ruined a man's life.
Apparently, that poor man is ruined life.
Dude, he deserved it.
Tuesday we had your game.
Did have my silly adventure game where you're dealing with horrors beyond your comprehension, also known as basic puzzles. It took you a long time to do that puzzle.
I gotta be honest, the puzzle's kind of fuzzy in my brain.
It was a color matching puzzle.
I remember it was a color matching puzzle.
That was it.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's like make sure your puzzles are doable by a 10-year-old.
Sorry, that's too old. We're not gonna know that.
Apparently. I also did just have the option of like you can just break the door down. Like you know where the door is. You just hit it.
Yeah, and then we took care of the problem of these twins.
You beat up. Well, you smashed a vase and destroyed the ancient souls inhabiting 2 teenagers.
Yeah, and then we tried to put their original souls back in there. I don't know how well it worked.
Well, you'll find that out eventually when you go and try and purify them.
Why am I playing characters that are difficult to play? I just realized my two characters are a pacifist paladin and a goddamn bloody neutral.
Yeah, you're
like
a filthy
actual,
neutral.
Like, true neutral character.
You met a god technically as well who sassed you and told you to go do stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess we can.
Met the god of vanity, who's an asshole.
It was vanity, so it makes sense. We were vain and whiny. But, yeah. Wednesday, you had a game.
Yeah, we definitely did things. I definitely remember them, yeah. I know we killed a guy, that's all I remember. We killed a guy and then someone got, like, fucked up real badly because they charged it as a cat.
Well, also, we didn't have to do the stats of the cat correctly, but that's...
No, you did do the stats wrong, which was kind of funny. Although I don't know if it would have made that much difference.
Might save like 1 hit or 2 or something.
Most of that damage came from a fireball.
Fireball.
That's the thing. Is like I
all
realized
that damage came from a fireball.
Literally, I think I got hit 3 times, and the highest damage I took out of all 3 hits was the fireball.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't want to aim it a little farther back? No. I'm just like, thanks.
Well, you were on top of someone, so you're going to hit that person. They're like, you can take
you
this.
You can leave out one person. Like, yes, I could, but I also didn't realize just how, like, I mean, low the AC. I mean, to be fair, I should have, because it was basically a difference of 10 almost. It's like 9 from my normal AC. And I should have realized how big of a difference that is, but I was just kind of like, it'll work, it'll be fine.
This will definitely work out.
Let's see, how much was it? 17. It was it was a difference of 7, which is a pretty big difference. But
so you broke in. You eventually found a painter who was captured. You alerted the people that were there. You fought a bunch of mooks and killed a one-eyed halfling who... Look, I'm going to tell you, the backstories of some of these characters, they tell me them, and I'm like, how will the PCs ever find this out? I'm sorry. Sometimes they give you like backstories of things. The halfling apparently, no, this is a great backstory. I just want to share it. The Emperor Old Corvosa discovered him after he bought a bunch of torture equipment that was used, stuck in one of the pieces of torture equipment, and then just helped him out and was like, "Oh, holy shit, you're alive!" And then just having helped him out, he's just like, "I guess I work for you now. You're my uncle. You saved me." And there was a guy missing an eye in his tongue that was like just in some torture equipment he bought, who was just left there, and it's just like, what the hell kind of backstory is that? This is insane. Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's a way, like, you know, I mean, see, there's a thing where it's like, it does help in role-playing a person is to know where they came from a little bit.
I get that
have a
too,
little bit of
but
stuff.
like...
So, like, if we were going to try and talk to Pilk or, like, discuss things, like, maybe that would have come up with the executioner, but, like, you know, I agree, it's, like...
It's very
unlikely.
unlikely.
Also just write down their personality.
Yeah, well, honestly, that's what, like, describing, like, their actions and, like, you know, oh, hey, like, in his description, like, he's fanatical to the god. But, interestingly enough, it does mention that, like, if the other guy, who is willing to surrender, does so, he goes crazy because he believes that's, like, a betrayal, and then kills him, the Emperor. Which is just a weird thing, too. But it was interesting. Anyway, you took care of it very well.
Emperor, if the
Emperor
halfling surrendered, the Emperor would kill him?
No, the Emperor surrenders.
The halfling would kill him.
The halfling fights to the death because he's fanatical.
Got it.
So, like, if the person you're fanatical for surrenders, you believe it's a betrayal, and, like, he kind of just, as a barbarian, goes crazy and just murders.
Yeah, so, honestly, though, if I get wild armor, I will be doing great in that.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. That guy was never going to escape, because each turn, I was just going to keep flurrying and punching him in the throat so he couldn't cast spells.
I'm gonna stop him. He doesn't, like, at a certain level of hit points, you dimension doors to grab his loot and dimension doors away because he's hard. But after, like, you couldn't do that. He had hit that marker on hit points, and I'm like, well, he can't cast spells this turn. He'll just try to hit you with his weapon.
Yep. No, and that happens.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad. Well, I mean, we now know, so apparently previous campaigns, everyone just goes invisible. In this campaign, it seems everyone tries to dimension door away.
It's usually how it goes with humanoid Pathfinder bosses. It's really annoying. But it makes sense to a degree.
Certain ones are fanatical, but, like, they also, like, I understand, like, yes, you've got fanatical people, but there's a lot of, like, boss-type characters where, like, these guys are not fanatical. They're not going to fight to the death. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, yeah, it makes it kind of hard sometimes to figure out,
I mean, there's kind of
a
point, there's kind of a point, I think, where you as a GM needs to find, like, right away if they do get away, for us to track them down.
Again, like, I was just seeing what was going to happen, and, like, you dropping them to that hit point at that point, and I was like, oh, this makes it easier. You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, I just think there's very much a thing where it's all like, an enemy just gets away again is not a
That was literally all of Skulls and Shackle.
No, I heard. I know.
Skulls and Shackle was notoriously bad at it.
And I get that concept, but, like, it also should be like, really? Everyone just gets away? Anyway, but, like, I get the idea, but it's just kind of like, I feel like players need to have that resolution from time to time. In fact, more often than not, I think. So.
I feel like, you know, Skulls and Shackles was worse in a lot of ways because of the way it was written and stuff, too. Like, in this one, I don't think, like, minor people have tried to maybe escape that have had, like, really good abilities. Most of the ones that, like, you know, really don't have a lot of ways to really easily get away. You know, not for attempting to do things. So, like, at least they've been built in that they're not, like, running away, I'm a reoccurring villain kind of running away. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's worse. I'd almost rather them be reoccurring.
Well, that's the thing is, we haven't had a lot of, like, any kind of, like, running away stuff as much. They've had some, like,
I know,
shenanigans, certainly, in this one, but a lot less of like the I'm just gonna dimension door away. Like this guy, yeah, it's the option for it, but like I'm sorry, you were also like right next to the room you would have dimension doored into. I'm not gonna lie, he goes to his bedroom to steal stuff.
Well,
So he would have been right there and probably noticeable by people. So
I mean, the lady was in the room punching herself, so
she would have and maybe noticed him and then like, oh hey, nearest thing to attack if doesn't like act normally or something.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I fortunately didn't have to worry about it. Didn't come up.
Yep.
You know?
But yeah, no, I'm very interested because like I didn't realize, I kind of forgot that like I'm like looking at the way Wild Shape works. I'm like, this could be good if only you had AC, which basically means I need this one magic thing on my armor for it to work. But after that, it could be pretty good.
Wild Shape is one of those things that can be very helpful, but like it has to be again, like it's like druids are good at it because it's what they do. You know, that's the kind of thing.
To be honest,
yes,
it's been very fun to just be a dude who punches people and not have to actually think about anything.
Oh no, I 100% agree. I didn't want to do a wizard and spellcaster in Pathfinder because I've been there. I mean, in the few times I've played, I've never had a game go longer than like 1 or 2 sessions in Pathfinder, but I think 3 actually was the most. Anyway, but I mean, spellcasters I always just felt was so underwhelming early on.
It would have been fine to continue playing a cool wizard, but I got really mad at the fact that I can't roll, and everything saves against me. So I'm like, I need a 5-session break from this before I punch something.
No, I got it. Like, the rolls weren't going well, and the saves were pretty unfortunate.
The problem is, with necromancy, the guy saves, spells usually don't do anything.
There's a lot of save or suck in necromancy, is the problem.
It's a big gamble.
It's a big gamble,
yeah. But anyway, I think Shifter, though, with this Wild Shape, is honestly potentially better, assuming, like, because that's the thing, is assuming the GM allows you to use it in Wild Shape. Because it's technically different, and like the GM could roll, no, it's a different thing.
Certain things would work, certain things I don't think would work. I'd have to take a really deep look at it, because like, you're the one thing specifically says it works with Wild Shape, so. But again, like, honestly speaking, it was just like, I'm a goddamn tiger shit things, because I'm sorry, tiger/dire tiger always were like I'm just gonna murder stuff shape changes.
Yes, and honestly, the one I was looking at is the Allosaurus, which my character might technically know because I'm from Grund.
Yes.
I didn't live there very long, but I'm from there.
Yes. We can discuss. We can figure out.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you. As I said, I'm gonna send you a wish list, and you can tell me what I can and can't have.
Again, I'll take a look at it. Like, you still have to unlock, like, I think you've pretty maxed out your maximum sizes for the...
I've unlocked it. Yeah, I maxed it out.
Yeah, for, like, what you can do for,
yeah,
the ones you unlock for your stuff. So.
Yeah. So...
We'll do it. Anybody do anything on Thursday?
No.
How about yesterday?
I did a non-tabletop thing yesterday.
Ooh.
I played the Fallout mod with Lightning for like most of the day for Hearts of Iron 4. It was fun. It's a very good mod for an overcomplicated game.
Yep. Sounds like a good time. All right. So, I think that will call it for today. Let's go space to stop. I should be back on Monday. There might be something I have to do more than likely Tuesday for a while, but it might come up on Monday, help out my mother. So I'll let people know when I know about canceling again. That'll be like hey, family stuff came up. So I already know that something will be coming up on those days. Possibly. I'll let you know. If it's Tuesday, I'll still see about doing tabletop on that day. Otherwise, I'm personally back on Monday for I'm gonna try the Final Fantasy 1 remaster randomizer. See how that works. Because I've done the Final Fantasy 1 normal randomizer. I'm gonna try the remaster version. See how that works and how they've done that. Tabletop stuff on the normal days. Crimson Queen, Wednesdays at 9. This show next Saturday at 6. Momo, do you have anything to shout out on Mork?
Nothing to shout out.
Your shout-outs.
I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter. That's Diamond and Worm spelled WYRM. And I don't know, sometimes I like to give the spelling because I figure some people are just listening.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing stuff tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. PDT.
Woo.
Probably more Hollow Knight.
You are close to the end, getting all those end game bosses and stuff. Good luck to finishing those up. Alright, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend. Check out Worm tomorrow, and I'll see you all hopefully on Monday, and we'll be back to a normal week next week. And we'll probably take some more smaller breaks here and there in the schedule, but I'll plan for those actually, so we can have some more times off here and there that I can use to catch up on things. But we'll talk about it when I stream next. Anyway, all right, everybody, farewell for now. Goodbye. Oh, social media, Discord, and everything.